A very good morning to my dear students. Once again, welcome back to 7th grade English class. I hope that you are doing well and keeping safe at your homes. In the last class, we were actually going with a beautiful story, Lemon, Yellow and Fig, written by Manohar Malgonkar. When we started the story, I had already mentioned that the story was all about trust. In the last class, we had already seen how things were fine and good with the narrator when he was working as a salesman in a shop. And we had also seen in the last class that he had a pretty woman customer on a fine morning, what all things she purchased, and we stopped at the point when the salesman received the cash from the lady and put it in the draw box or cash box. Now, let us see what happens. So, here I am going to read the next part. So, please listen and read along with me. For that, you have to take page number 32. He was very particular about cash. 100 rupees was all I was meant to keep in the shop to begin the day with. The rest of the collection from the daily sales was handed over every morning to his munim, who called for it. As it was the belief of Mr. Ratnam, the narrator was only asked to keep 100 rupees in the cash box. The rest of the amount would be collected by his agent daily. Okay. Now listen. Before going out, the young lady gave me a smile which made me wish that I had been in a position to give her the saree instead of selling it to her. I had hardly replaced the sarees and choli pieces which she had been looking at when the other lady came into the shop. She was prosperous, for she wore large diamond ear clips, the hexagonal ones which are so popular in the south. When the lady went out, she gave him a smile as if he had been in a position to give her the saree instead of selling it to her. Then the next lady came in. She was very rich and wore costly diamond ear clips. At that time, he had been replacing the clothes displayed for the previous sale or previous lady. Okay. And as soon as she came in, I got a whiff of her perfume. So, as she came in, the narrator got a gentle smell. I have a sensitive nose, but it did not need a sensitive nose to tell me that it was the same perfume that the young woman had used. It was quite unmistakable. Suddenly, he realized that the perfume that the previous lady used was also the same. So, he continued that even though his nose was sensitive, it did not need a sensitive nose to realize the fact. Okay. Then, at first, it didn't even strike me as being unusual. I put on my best smile and began to show her the sarees. She wanted something in what is known in the trade as the fig color. It is a mixture of red and green threads, and very popular among us South Indian women. At first, the narrator is saying here is that at first the strange things didn't strike him. He smiled at her as usual and started displaying the sarees, and the lady wanted fig color, the color which was very popular among the South Indian people. Okay. Now listen, I took out several different sarees in the shade she wanted, but as I was explaining to her why there was a difference in the prices, I must have been thinking about the coincidence of her using the same perfume as the other lady who had given me the 100 rupee note, because suddenly the thought struck me that both the women must belong to the same household. Okay. While he was displaying all the sarees as per her demand and was explaining how they were differ in price, he was seriously thinking about the coincidence of using the same perfume as that of the other lady. Suddenly, he find that both must belong to the same house. Maybe it was a coincidence. So, in that way, he was thinking about all these things while he was serving different sarees to her taste. Now listen. And that brought to my mind a trick which had been played recently upon a fellow shopkeeper. A young lady had gone to his shop early one morning and had given him a new 100 rupee note which he had changed for her. Soon after she had gone out, another lady, her accomplice, had gone into the shop, bought one or two little things and coolly demanded her change. So, listen. Then the salesman thought about a trick played by his fellow shopkeeper, that one day one lady came and purchased one thing and gave him a 100 note and received the change for that. After she went out, her companion came and bought something and asked for the change without paying the money. Okay, now listen. But she had paid no money, and when the shopkeeper pointed out her mistake, she had called in a policeman and complained that she had just given a 100 rupee note to the shopkeeper which he had put in his cash box, and that he refused to give her the change. Oh yes, she knew the number of the note, and right enough the number tallied with that of the note in the cash box. There was little that the shopkeeper could do about it except hand the note over to her. It all seemed to fit. It was a dirty trick, but it had worked, and now they seemed to be trying it out on me. So, this was actually the narrator's thought while the second lady came and purchased things. Okay. So, when the shopkeeper pointed out her mistake, she called the police, and when the policeman came, she said that the salesman refused to give her the change. She was more confident because she knew even the number of the note correctly given by the other lady. The number she told to the policeman was same as that of the number of the note in the cash box. The salesman did not have any other choice. Then the salesman gave her the change. So, the narrator thought that the same dirty trick they were trying to play on him also. Okay. So, this was actually the narrator thought while this thing was going on. It gave me a shock to think that anyone as pretty as my first customer should be involved in this kind of business. But this was not time to be worrying about it. I had to be quick if I was not going to be caught out. Okay. So, it was shocking for him to think that his first customer would be like that. He had to be quick if he was not going to be caught out. Yeah, because he must have been very vigilant. This was actually his need, because if there would happen anything to the proportion of the notes in the cash box to that of the sales he did, definitely the honesty on him would definitely go, and he might even lose his job. So, he had to be quick in certain decisions in order to avoid the loss of his job. Now listen, excuse me a moment, I told the lady who was looking intently at the fig colored sarees. I have a few more in the same shade, I will get them for you. The cash box was on the table in the corner, hidden from her view by a tall shelf. I opened it and took out the 100 rupee note given to me by the lady who had come earlier. Then suddenly he told to the lady that he had few more collections. He had a few more collections in the same shade which she was looking forward. While she was getting the collection which were in the fig colored for the lady, he opened the cash box which was hidden from her view by a tall shelf and took out the 100 rupee note given by the lady, given by the other lady or the previous lady. Okay. Now listen, I put it in an envelope and addressed the envelope to my brother who worked in a shop hardly a couple of 100 yards away, and calling the boy from the next shop who did occasional jobs for me. I casually handed him the envelope. Please take this to Kriparam's shop and give it to my brother, I told him. Then what happened here? Then he dropped the cash in an envelope addressed to his brother who was running a shop nearby and sent it to him through the boy who usually did the odd jobs for him. Okay. Then listen. Then, pleased with myself and smiling, I took 3 of those fig colored sarees from another rack and went back to my customer. I couldn't have been away from her for more than a minute. So, then pleased with himself, he took 3 fig colored sarees from another rack and went back to the lady, because all these was doing in secrecy, so he could not be away from her more than a minute. Okay. Then listen, she liked those sarees a lot. She kept on looking at 2 of them as though she couldn't make up her mind which one she liked better. I could scarcely keep myself from grinning at her play acting. Why don't you buy both? They should suit you equally well, I said to her. Yes, I think I will do that, she said with a broad smile. So she was very fond of those 3 and was really in confusion that which would be selected. Then the narrator was grinning means a smile in which the lips are parted to reveal the teeth. So the narrator had a special smile over the lady as if he had done almost everything to defend her bad tricks on him. Actually, the lady was very innocent, but the narrator always was very suspicious on her. Then, with that particular kind of smile, he asked, why don't you buy both? They were equally suitable to her. Then, the lady told him that she was also thinking about that with a broad smile. Okay, now listen. She took both the sarees and paid for them 90 rupees. She paid it all in 10 rupees notes. I looked at the notes carefully. I wondered if this was a new angle to the old trick. But there was nothing wrong with the notes. It was clear that I had judged her wrongly. I felt a little ashamed of myself, but I had reason to be pleased with myself too. I had made 2 good sales within half an hour of opening, and as soon as the boy returned, I sent him for a cup of coffee. So, after the purchase, the lady gave 900 rupees, but this time she paid all in 10 rupees denominations. He closely observed it as he was quite doubtful that whether this was another way of a new trick. But there was nothing wrong, and he felt ashamed of himself for having been underestimated her. At the same time, he was quite happy enough that he could at least start the day with 2 good sales within half an hour of opening the shop. Okay. When the boy returned, he offered him a cup of coffee too, because that much he was happy. Okay. Now please turn over the page and take page number 35. Here I am going to read. And then I saw Mr. Ratnam coming towards the shop. I didn't even know he was in Bombay. He lives in Bangalore and looks after the looms. What do you mean by looms? Looms means a utensil or a tool or a weapon. He was looking pleased as punch as he entered the shop. And when he had sat down, I told him how well the shop was running and that more stocks would be needed almost immediately. So, Mr. Ratnam was coming towards the shop. As he came in, he found us too much pleased. Then the narrator told him about how the shop was running good and reminded him that if the sales would go like this, they would need more stocks immediately. You can have all the stocks you want, my boy, he said. That is what the shop is here for, to sell as much as we can. It is just that I wanted to make sure that I was not going to be let down like I was by your predecessor. Okay. Then, with great pleasure and happiness, Mr. Ratnam replied that he could have as much as the stocks he wanted, and added that they wanted to sell as much as they could. The narrator commended so because he wanted to let Mr. Ratnam know that he, like his previous man, would not stop. Okay. I was rather hurt that he should be still doubtful of my honesty. I said, I was hoping you would be sure of me by now, sir. So the narrator was rather gloomy that Mr. Ratnam should be still doubtful of his honesty. And now he was quite happy that he was sure of his honesty. Okay. In business, in this sort of business, one can never take anything for granted, he said. There are so many temptations. What the last man used to do was to show that he sold fewer saris than he actually did and pocket the difference. I could never be found out unless there was a stock checking. Then he said that in this type of business, we could not believe anyone for granted. The last man was used to give the amount which was very less than the sales he did. The last man was used to give the amount to Mr. Ratnam comparatively less than the sales he did. And if there was not a stock checking, it could never be traced. I see, I said. I just wanted to check the stocks before sending you any more. Just a formality, you know. You don't mind, do you? It was nice of him to ask me if I minded, but of course I didn't mind. For most of the next hour, we did a sort of cursory stock taking. Oh, it was like that. Anyway, before sending Mr. Ratnam the report, he just wanted to check it out. Then they too did a quick and short stock taking. Okay, now listen. We are moving on to the next page. Turn over the page and take page number 36 and listen. In fact, I did most of the actual checking, and if I had needed to, I could have easily given Mr. Ratnam fictitious figures. I was satisfied that all the stock was absolutely correct to the last choli piece. Then the narrator told to himself that he did the actual checking, and if he needed to do any malpractices, he could have given a fictitious number, but he was quite happy that the checking was duly in accordance with the last piece of choli he sold. Now listen. However, even before I had quite finished counting, Mr. Ratnam called out to me. I think that will do, he said. I am entirely satisfied with you. As soon as I get back, I will send you more pieces, and from next month you had better take on someone to assist you, a little boy to do the running about. Then Mr. Ratnam remarked that he was completely happy with him, that he would send him more stocks and a boy to assist him. Okay. Now listen. Mr. Ratnam paused for a moment and gave me a broad smile. Then he said, I am particularly pleased with your way of dealing with customers. I wanted to be personally satisfied about that. So this morning I sent my daughter and sister to make one or two odd purchases. It seems that although you had just opened the shop, you managed to change a 100 rupee note for my daughter. There is nothing more annoying than being kept waiting for change. I also liked the way you sold my sister 2 sarees when she had come with the idea of buying only one. They were full of praise for you. Now let us just check the cash box, and I will have done with you. A mere formality, you know. You couldn't be having much more in it than your 100 rupees and what my daughter and sister paid. Then Mr. Ratnam said that he was completely or quite pleased with the way he dealt with the customers, and he started praising him for his fine dealing with the 2 lady customers on the starting of a day, and he also praised him for making the change of 100 rupees in the initial hours of a day without letting them much of waiting. And he also praised his ability to sell 2 pieces to somebody who came to buy 1 piece. So in that way, he overall praised his varying talents both in dealing with the customers and in selling the stocks. And after that, he mentioned one thing, that now they could go for checking the cash box. They could go for checking the notes in the cash box. And he added that it was only a formality. Okay, now listen. I am sure my heart skipped a beat. It suddenly dawned upon me that there was a whole 100 rupees missing from the box, and Mr. Ratnam noticed it too as soon as he snapped the lid open. Then the narrator started shivering. Why? Yeah. In Mr. Ratnam's calculations, there would be 2 denominations of 100 rupees, thus 200 rupees in total in the cash box. But actually, thinking that those ladies were fraud customers who came there to trap him, he gave 100 rupees to a boy in an envelope. So when Mr. Ratnam opened, there was only 100 rupees. Eventually, all the trust Ratnam felt over him soon went away. Okay, and that was how I lost my job. I didn't even try to explain. I just started blankly at him and at the box alternately. I was sure that no explanation I could give would have convinced him. He did not have that sort of mind. What he recognized was the cold fact that 100 rupees was missing from the box. So this was the way he lost the job, and he could have never convinced Mr. Ratnam, as he was not that sort of a person. The only thing he was looking at was 100 rupees was missing from the cash box. Anyway, I couldn't tell him that I had taken his daughter and his sister for a pair of confidence tricksters, if that is the word. He shook his head from side to side and he looked sad when he said to me, "And you have such an honest face." Of course, I am honest, but I am out of work, and if you know of anyone who needs a keen young salesman. So, here it is meant that he was helpless as he couldn't tell him that it happened because he had taken them as a pair of confidence tricksters. The narrator was completely broken when Mr. Ratnam made a comment that, "And you have such an honest face." What he meant there was that even though the narrator had such an honest face as he thought, he did it. So, the narrator really was honest, but he lost his job anyway. And he said that he was really in search of someone who needed a keen, honest and young salesman. So, in that way, this beautiful story ends at this point. Okay, I hope that you understood everything we discussed with regard to the content of the story. Anyway, I think it's time to wind up. Anyway, thank you and have a nice day.